Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Town of Ajax Committee of Adjustment meeting for Wednesday, March 25, 2020. I would like to welcome those in attendance for this meeting. Due to the COVID-19, this meeting is not open to the public and is being live streamed. The committee is bound by the Planning Act to assess each application based on its ability to meet 4 tests. These tests are that the application is minor in nature, is desirable for the appropriate development or use of lands, and finally is in keeping with the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. The process for tonight's meeting will be a little bit different, but will be conducted in the following manner. The applicant will be called to the microphone, and at their option, they may provide a brief description of the minor variance application they have applied for. The committee members may ask questions of the applicant after this time. Once a motion has been put forward by a committee member, there will be no further input from the applicant or anyone having interest in the application. After a decision is made, notice will be sent out and there will be a 20-day appeal period. Anyone having interest in the application may appeal to the local planning appeals tribunal within 20 days of the decision of the committee. After 20 days, the decision will become final and binding. If a building permit or other approvals are required, they may be filed during the appeal period. However, no building permits will be issued until the appeal period is over and the decision becomes final and binding. A respectful decorum is required during this evening's proceedings and is expected for all present and at all times. Present for tonight's meeting on my far right is Mark Paul. I've never said your last name, Mark. Mark Paul, say it for me. Thank you so much. Wasif, I'm blowing it. Sorry, can you say your last name for me as well?
Sure, Wasif Ahmed.
Thank you so much. I am Lori Roberts, acting as the chair for this meeting, and to my left is Eric Simpson, who is the planner for the town of Ajax. Is there any disclosure of interest for tonight's meeting? Seeing none, normally at this point at time in the meeting, we would have the adoption of minutes, but seeing that we have a skeleton crew here, we're going to defer that until our next meeting. The first application for tonight's meeting is application A7/20-33-20, which is for 33 Church Street South, and the applicant is All Nations Charitable Properties. Can the applicant please come to the microphone and state your name for the committee and sign in on the sheet provided? Okay, I'm just gonna, Eric, can I confirm that notice was served and find out if any written responses have been received?
Notice was served and there's been no written submissions.
Okay, and I'm just going to outline what the conditions are in the application before you give us your statement. So the application, I'm just going to open that page, sorry, I apologize. The bylaw requirement for your application is for the parking requirements for non-residential uses, and for a place of worship, a minimum of 1 parking space per every 4 persons, maximum capacity in the largest room of the assembly, and the maximum capacity in the largest room of assembly, 135 persons, and a minimum of 35 parking spaces are required. The relief that you are requesting is to permit a minimum of 28 parking spaces for the place of worship. do you have anything that you would like to add to the application?
Thank you for the opportunity. We know whatever is happening now, it makes things so difficult, but we appreciate that we can come back again. We did apply for a minor variance application, I think about a year ago, but we weren't able to meet the other condition which called for a shared parking agreement with our neighbor to the north. The negotiations didn't go the way we wanted it to go. So we consulted with the neighbor on the south, and they gladly agreed for us to share parking. And we are almost through with the shared parking agreement. Previously, we were aiming for 150 capacity, which called for an extra parking up north. But then because it didn't go through, we have actually reduced the capacity from 150 to 135, which for our normal operations, it's not much of a problem because currently we are actually doing 2 services in our current place. And so we know that if we took the same 2 services to the new site, we will be with 28 parking spots on our property, and then 6 additional spots on the southern side, we'll be able to meet the bylaw requirements. So we put in a new minor variance application to seek the town's approval for us to proceed. And so that's why we are here.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Mark?
Through the acting chair to staff, so just to confirm, the site plan would require 34 spots. The variance is for 28, so which is a difference of 6 less spots than the site requirement?
Correct, yeah. They have 28 spaces on site, and with the shared parking agreement, they'll have an additional 6, and then therefore meet the 34 required.
Okay, thank you. And then through the acting chair to the applicant, so the agreement is formalized with the for the shared parking spaces with the neighbor to the south already?
Exactly.
Okay.
We have both a written share agreement, and so ready to go.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Wasif?
To the applicant, the hours of operation for the pet hospital, do they conflict at all with your service times for your congregation?
No, they don't operate on Sundays. So, and our peak attendance is on Sundays, I think from 9 a.m. to 11, and then from 11:30 to 12. So there was never going to be any, clash in terms of peak use.
Okay. And to staff, do we know what the maximum number of spots are on 41 Church at the pet hospital?
They only have 6 total
There's only-
spaces
so it
on
would
site.
be all of them?
Yep.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So you had mentioned currently where you guys are, you have 2 services. When you move into this building, are those 2 services going to be combined into one, or are you going to be continuing 2?
No, it's going to be 2 separate services.
It will
because
continue.
the objective, the first service is our traditional service, and then the second one is geared more towards, the Generation X folks. So the way they do things is a little bit different. So that's why, we have those 2. So we are not going to combine the 2 services at all.
And typically right now, what is the attendance for each of those services? People attendance and car attendance for each of those services in your current facility?
Typically, on the first service, we average anywhere between 75 and 80. With the recent events, attendance is almost, so we moved to online. But then on the youth side, previous statistics shows that they don't even get to 50.
Okay, that would be amazing if you got 135 of the youth. Thank you. I also wanted to ask, do you know the pet hospital, does it act as an emergency hospital by any chance?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Because on Sundays, they are closed altogether.
Okay, thank you. Wasif?
The congregation times, what would they be in terms of amount of time in between after the first service ends and the second service starts?
So first service ends around 11 a.m. and then the second service start at 11:30. So there's a 30 minutes gap between the two.
I'm just going to be very candid. I thought it would have been a little bit larger just by the time the first service ends and people file out and all that stuff. And the people that are trying to get there, I'm probably not the one to speak, you know, if they're wanting to get there earlier rather than, later.
Also, we did a 30 minutes because of where we are currently, but given the new conditions, it is possible that we can even extend that. Because the younger ones actually they don't like coming to church early anyway, so we can always push it, give a 1 hour gap between the first service and the second service.
Right. But you understand my concern,
I
right?
do.
Like in terms of people filing
Yes.
out and parking lot vacated
Yes.
for new people?
Yes.
Because I'm just worried that there's a massive parking lot across from you with the retail plaza there. And it'd be, relatively convenient for people to park there, but illegal, right? So we just
Yes.
want to make sure that we're sensitive to that as well.
Yeah, so we'll take note of that. Since we don't anticipate moving there in the next 6 months or so, but we'll put it in the planning so that we can delay the second service at least 1 hour to deal with that transition period.
Right. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Any further questions?
No.
Okay, you can have a seat. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just realized I don't have a script for the rest of this. Any further discussion?
No.
No? Okay, would anybody like to make a motion? Mark?
Yeah, to the acting chair, I will make a motion to approve A7-20 on 33 Church Street, subject to the conditions listed by staff, as the application is minor in nature and meets the tests set out for us.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, your application has been passed, but I just realized I didn't go over what the conditions were in the application, so just want to confirm that you have read that there's 3 conditions in it, that you are aware that you have to enter into a parking agreement with 41 Church Street, that you have to obtain site plan approval, and that you have to get all permits that are required. So just so you know that this is based on those 3 conditions being met.
Yes.
Okay, so what will happen now is that you have 20 days. Anybody who wants to make an appeal for it has 20 days to do so. Okay, thank you. Okay, so you are free to go. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming out tonight to do this. So that is it for the formal part of the meeting. I will just ask if there's any other or new business that we need to take care of.
No.
Seeing none, I'll make a motion for someone to make a motion for adjournment, please. Wasif? We wanted. Okay. Seconder? All those in favor? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.